Hey guys, how's it going? It's Kerr here with another Exos Heroes video. And today's video, I'm going to be talking about the new FC Rachel. Is he worth pulling? Thoughts about him? A little bit more interesting than most because not only is he a blue fake core, but he's a general. So I think there's some things to talk about here. So with that, let's get into it. So first thing I figured we should talk about is going to be his kit. Let's see what they changed with the new version of Rachel here. And so he seems very similar to the normal Rachel. His passive is the same. Just the typical things you would have, which is flow of mana and dishearten when it comes to Rachel. Both of those are on there. And then the change is mainly going to be as A1 here, which is Dance of the Red Rose. Instead of doing the normal, used to be a 3 mana move that does 315% damage. And then when he kills someone, he resets versus this 1 mana move, which deals 100% damage to one enemy, and then it inflicts a debuff, silence for 5 turns. After 5 turns, afflicts the target with Dance of the Red Rose, and inflicts damage equal to 100% of own current health. And own current health, not meaning his, it means the target that you're applying it to. This is not a new passive by any means. For example, Ridley has it, FC Annie has it. It's been out for a while. I think it's kind of nice to be able to inflict silence on people, especially in like PvP. And then the percentage damage is nice for stuff like Dragon and stuff. When you actually are facing people with this massive health pool, stuff like the harder campaign nodes when they're broken. I've seen like some crits for crazy amount of damage because they have way too much health as it is. So that's something to keep in mind, which is kind of nice. The thing I mainly like about it, because when you compare it to his normal move here, this is a 3 mana move. So when he first goes, sometimes you'll have enough mana for this, depending on how your team's set up. If you have a couple of people going before him, but it doesn't really synergize well with this move, which is a burst move and it takes 5 mana. So if you want to have a strong opening move, you're going to be using 3 mana, and then you might not have enough mana for the burst. And if you normally would have enough mana for the burst, you're still leaving damage on the table, because then the burst is not as strong as it could be, because it's just going to have barely 5 mana versus potentially more. So you can take do more damage with that move. Because it's a burst move and it uses all the mana. So I like that he gets to at least, so you're not like stuck between autoing or, then waiting, and then on turn 2, you do his ult. It's just a 1 mana move that allows you to actually have a decent opening turn. And then you come back around and hit really hard with his A2. And the A2 remains unchanged. This is just the typical 525% damage to one enemy. And then when he kills someone, attack and hit of all allies by 50%, increases that. And then it also increases the attack speed by 20 for 10 turns if the target dies. So very similar kit. The big change here when it comes to FC Rachel that makes him interesting are 2 things. It's going to be mainly when it comes to signature force and that he's a blue fake core. And I think blue fake cores are a little interesting because you can't really get them any other ways. It's only going to be this 1 week. They don't come back in choice fake core rees, and they don't come back in strings. As far as I'm aware, that this is going to be the only way to get them. And then these blue fake cores, what they do is, here, let's actually have it pulled up here. So let's go over to that. They boost his faction's stats. And for the first version of him, it's gonna, if you just have one, so you just have, you don't have them fused or anything like that, it's gonna increase the stats by 1% on attack, 1% defense, 6% health, and 2% on collection power for all these characters listed here, which doesn't look like much. But if you look at these stat bonuses, when you fuse a blue fake core, then they go up crazy. Like, for example, the max version of the health can be a 30% health boost. The defense and attack percentages can be a little bit better. The collection power can be a little bit more, which is kind of nice for trying to hit certain thresholds so you can quick battle stuff. The value of the blue fake core is really going to be determined on how good the character is, and then also how good the pool of characters are of that blue fake core. And if we're looking at Rachel's faction here compared to other factions, I think he's probably on the lower end of quality of characters here. Let's just evaluate it on characters, how good they are now without potential any signature force, or just like right now looking at these characters in a vacuum, how good are they? And the ones that stand out are probably Baraka, Bernadette. Look at the epics here. Nothing too crazy there. Maybe Fergie in like niche case scenarios, kind of a nice support there. Xeon definitely is solid, kind of fallen off a bit, but still really good if you have the FC version. Colin I really like Colin for challenges. FC Morris, pretty solid character there. But that's about it. I'm not really seeing anything else when it comes to these characters. So adding these percentages to these characters is, if you're really using these a lot, then it could be pretty useful. But these are not like super meta defining characters. One thing I have been noticing. Oh, okay, so that's for the blue fake core side of it. But the reason why I think this is an interesting choice, like a interesting character to talk about, because you're getting a lot of value here. You're getting not only are you getting the blue fake core like we're talking about here, but then you're also getting that he's a general. So here, let's go back to the game, and then I want to go into the signature force part of the game here, and this is a really good opportunity to double dip on not only getting the character for the blue fake core, but also being able to, and this is your best value on pulling Rachels to potentially, if you get lucky and you get multiple Rachels, you can either choose between fusing or you could go for the signature force. And what I was thinking is, for most people, you probably have at best one Rachel, like non-transcended one Rachel. I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation, or you just have none. That's a pretty reasonable expectation for most people. So this is going to be really determined on where you're at in the game. But what I was thinking is, so for example, I pulled one Rachel. This is in the very beginning of the game. I've never pulled a single one after. This was like one of my probably first 10 pulls I got FC Rachel. So what I was thinking is, if you're going to choose between either fusing a blue fake core or going for the signature force, absolutely go for the signature force. I think that's going to be significantly more impactful for your account. But what you can do is, if you have multiple blue fake cores, you could just remove the fake core like I have here and just stack the extra fake cores and save them in here. Then when you're going for the signature force, you'll just, at least you have the fake cores on deck, or when you pull another Rachel, you can either, the one Rachel you do have, you can end up making that the blue fake core. You can, at least you have that one Rachel still there. But then as you get more Rachels in the future, if you get lucky, then you can go for the fuse. But at least you have that option saved, and you got the best value for when to pull Rachel, and to pull a general. This is the best opportunity to pull multiple generals, because not only are you getting a realistic option of getting multiple generals, you're also getting multiple generals that are also multiple blue fake cores. And then you can still take advantage of the signature force, and then later on go for the fuse on that blue fake core. And as more characters get released, this can only get better, assuming that they're going to release characters at this faction. We don't really know. That's all subjective. I just think this is, even if the character, I don't think the kit of this new Rachel is that much to write home about. It's just essentially just a normal Rachel, nothing too crazy there. Not going to be meta. He's already not really meta defining in Arena as it is. He's just a really solid character. But even if you don't use this character, even if the kit is objectively worse than the normal Rachel, he has so much benefit to an account outside of ever even being used as a character that you might want to strongly consider pulling for him, depending on where your account's at. And I think that's really going to be subject to how often you use Rachel personally, how often you use like Baraka and the other characters listed in his faction. So that's the main thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to this version of Rachel. Also, just, I don't know, I'm just going to think about it as I've been doing this video. I don't know if it was the patch. I don't know if they fixed LD player, but they made it's so much more responsive. It's so much better. I just want to say, because it's doing videos, especially because normally I play on my phone, and it's so much smoother than any emulator. And so like whenever I do videos, it's a big pain, and I'm sitting here waiting for stuff to load, and it's annoying. But I'm noticing, like, this is the first time since I made a video on the new patch, and I'm noticing it's significantly smoother than what I'm ever used to. I wonder if they fixed the frame rate issues. I heard that there was an issue in the settings here where, you put it on 30 FPS, but that's actually 60 FPS. I don't know. So for example, it's now set to 60, and it feels really smooth. So I don't, LD player, definitely download that if you want a good emulator. Still probably crashes if you're going to use, if you're going against like Shufrakens and stuff. If I'm ever going to do like a guild battle or anything like that, I completely get off an emulator and go back to my phone, just because it's so much more reliable. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. That's my thoughts on the new FC Rachel. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. And with that, you guys have a good one. Peace.